Hey guys, this is Andrew with rockclass101.com, and in this week's ukulele lesson, Matt's going to be teaching you how to play God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen. Now, I got a chance to play through this entire arrangement, and I've got to say two things. First off, it's a lot of fun to play, but secondly, I think it's going to be perfectly suited for the intermediate player because it does one thing exceptionally well, and that one thing is chord work. Now, as you saw in the performance, Matt is jumping up and down with his chords, and that presents a really good challenge in that you are breaking away from playing only here in the beginning of the neck, and not to mention there's a lot of different shapes being used, so it's not like the same shape being used over and over and over and you're just moving it up and down. So it should be a really good challenge in that regard. Now let's talk a little bit about the lesson. So in this video, Matt's going to be teaching you how to play the entire tune, but if you want to get the tabs to print off and follow along with, that's going to be available at this link right here, or you can go to the site rockclass101.com and do a search for the song. Now also on that page will be the interactive on-screen tab viewer. Now this is a really cool feature where you can hit play, you can watch that tab scroll across in real time, you can highlight bars to loop sections, slow it down to any speed you want. Just a great asset in learning this song that much easier. Alright guys, so I'm going to go ahead and hand it off to Matt to teach you how to play this, and then I'll see you at the end of the lesson.
Hi, my name is Matt Dahlberg, and today we're going to learn a solo arrangement of God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen. It's one of my favorite holiday tunes, and this is compatible with both high G and low G ukuleles. Let's go ahead and dive into Melody A. To start this song has what's called a pickup bar, which means we're going to play just one note. In this case, we're going to play just our open A string. Going right into bar 2, or rather bar 1, we're going to be playing this A minor / C chord. To do this, we're going to take our index finger, place it here on the 2nd fret of the G string, and strum through with our thumb across all 4 strings. Then we're going to play 7 on the A string. Take your pinky finger, stretch it up to 7, and play that all by itself on the A. Then we're going to play this E chord. To do this, what we want to do is bar across the 4th fret of our G, C, E, and A strings with our pinky still here on 4 of the A. And we're going to strum through all 4 of these strings. Then we're going to play 5 on the A string. What I like to do here is take this middle finger and place it here on the 5th fret of the A string. So measure 1 in time with the pickup bar sounds something like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and... Going right into measure 2, we're going to play this A minor / E. Lots of finger jumping here. Middle finger is going to go up to the 4th fret of the C string, ring finger here to the 5th fret of the E string, and index finger here to the 3rd fret of the A string. Go ahead and strum through our C, E, and A together. There's lots of jumping in this. And that's what makes this such a cool arrangement, but it's also what makes it so challenging. So when you're learning this, just practice going from that E7, the 5 there, to that A minor, because there's a lot of that type of motion. But after we play that on measure 2, take your index finger, move it down 1 fret to fret 2. Then we're going to play open on the A string, but as we open the A string, we're going to take our middle finger and move it up to 5 on the C, so that we play this F no 5 chord, 5, 5, 0, strumming through our C, E, and A together. Then we're going to take our middle finger, move it down 1 fret to the 4th fret of the C, take the ring finger off, and then apply the index finger here to fret 3 on the E string and strum your C and E together. So measure 2 in time should sound something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and... And so that you can hear the pair, here are measures 1 and 2, including that pickup bar. 1 and 2 and 3 and... Going on to measure 3 now, we just take this middle finger off, move our index finger down 2 frets to get this F/C chord, strum our C, E, and A together. Then we're going to play 2 on the A, just add our middle finger here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take this index finger and we're going to collapse it as a bar and move it across to the 3rd fret. Now, here's a little kicker. You can have it just on the E and the A strings with this middle finger here on 4 of the C, like this, like how it's shown. Alternatively, you can also have that index finger barred across the C, E, and A. Now, you might be wondering why we would do that with our middle finger covered here, and you'll see why in a second. Because after I play this, the next chord is going to be this D minor/F, which is going to be 5-5-5-5, or 5-5-5 rather. So by barring earlier with that, it makes it a little bit easier. Now from here, it goes on to another chord, but before we do that, let's go ahead and hear what measure 3 sounds like in time. It should be something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and... Now from here onto measure 4, it goes to an E chord. To play this bar moves down 1 fret and up to go across all 4 strings. So we're starting here on the G string, going through all the way. Add your pinky here on 7 of the A, just like we played it earlier in this song. And then to finish measure 4, we're just going to play an open A string. Pretty straightforward. So measure 4 in time sounds something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and... And measures 3 and 4 sound something like this together. 2 and 3 and 4 and... Now what's cool is as we go on to measure 5 here, measure 5 should actually look somewhat familiar because, well, it's exactly the same as measure 1. No difference or variation whatsoever, which is pretty neat. And guess what? Measure 6. Exactly the same as measure 2. Lots of repetition in holiday music. As we go on to measure 7, you'll notice it is exactly the same as measure 3. So 5, 6, 7 are exactly the same as 1, 2, and 3. As we go on to measure 8, it starts off the same with the same E chord. But then instead of playing the open A string at the very end, it plays 7 on the A again with the pinky. So measure 8 in time is something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and... And so that you can hear it, here is 5, 6, 7, and 8, which again are exactly the same as 1, 2, 3, 4, except for the very last note of 4 and 8. Should sound something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and... Now, before you go on to the next section, one thing that you want to make sure you're getting comfortable with is just all of these little switches. This song I kind of did as an exercise for lots of movement between chords, which creates a really nice sound. It does make it a little bit choppy, however, when you're practicing it. And it's normal for it to kind of be like... So the way that you want to get better with that is to make sure that you're fretting those notes as long as you can, right up until the last moment when you try to switch into the next one. The longer you maintain that contact fretting, the better tone you're going to get and the more sustain you'll get with this arrangement. And with practice, it can sound really full and great. So that sort of finishes the first little melody here. And let's go on now to measure 9. And we're going to be just finishing with that 7 on the A we played at the end of 8. Now we go way up the fretboard for this D minor/A chord. To play this, well, it's like a G minor just moved way up on your fretboard. So middle finger here on the 9th fret of the C string, ring finger here to the 10th fret of the E string, and index finger here on the 8th fret of the A string. We're going to strum our C, E, and A together. Then we're going to play 10 on the E, which is already there. Then we're going to play this C chord. Now, a C chord that you may have not played before because it's going to open both of these, the middle and ring fingers, and then the index finger, instead of going all the way down to 3, instead it's just going to go down 1 fret to 7. So we're going from here to here. We strum through all 4 strings, so index finger right there. Then we're going to play this nice little harmony part. Ring finger is going to go on 10 of the E while the index moves up 1 fret to 8 on the A. Play those 2 strings together. So measure 9 in time is something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and... Quick little note, you'll notice the relationship of these fingers is exactly the same as the first chord. So you kind of see this pattern, right? When it plays through, kind of returns, right? Patterns make it all easier. Anyways, as we go now into measure 10, we're going to go to this 0, 0, 0, 10, which is just another C chord. In this case, though, I like to use my ring finger, come down, play that 10th fret on the A string, strum all the way through. Then we're going to play another nice little harmony line. To do this, index finger is going to go on 8 of the E string, pinky here on 12 of the A. Play just the E and A together. Then we're going to go back to that C chord we played just a moment ago, the one that has the 7 on the A with the index finger. And then from here, what we're going to do is jump down to an E7. And to do this E7, we're going to bar across the 4th fret, add our 5th fret here on the A string. That's a tricky jump. And it's one of those that I mentioned earlier, how there's just lots of movement within this arrangement. But measure 10 should sound something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and... And so that you can hear the pair, here is 9 and 10 together. 2 and 3 and 4 and... Going on to measure 11, we're going to go back to that A minor / E we played on the 2nd and 6th measures, the 4, 5, 3 on the C, E, and A strings. We're going to open the A string. Then we're going to go to an everyday G chord, but you normally play a G chord like this. I want you to instead play it like this. And there's a reason, I promise. So bar your index finger across the 2nd fret of the C, E, and A. Add the middle finger here on the 3rd fret of the E string. Strum through all 4 strings. Because then from here we go to that C / E that we played earlier. Remember I told you there's 2 different ways we could play it, like this or like this? Well, in this particular case, let's make sure we do it like this so that that index finger now can be barred and it's just pivoting the middle finger from the 3rd fret of the E string to the 4th fret of the C string. So measure 11 sounds something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and... And the real reason I'm wanting you to do this is because of the next chord, my favorite G7 on the ukulele. To do this, 0, 5, 7, 5, just take your index finger, slide it up to the 5th fret on the C, E, and A. Take your ring finger, add it on the 7th fret of the E string, strum through all 4 strings. Kind of cool, right? So it just moves that bar. Then we're going to play 3 on the A. I like to just use my index. And then 5 on the A. I like to use my index again with that. So that measure 12 sounds and looks something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and... Now from here we go on to measure 13, but just before we do that, let's go in here. 11 and 12 is sort of a pair. Should sound like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and... Now going on to that measure 13, it's the same C chord we played before, but let's use our ring finger this time. Because the next chord we're going to play, this F/C, we're going to take our index finger, place it here on the 5th fret of the E string, and our pinky finger here on the 8th fret of the A string, the 5th fret of the E string with the index finger, 8th fret of the A string with the pinky. Now a little trick here, notice how I don't move my ring finger at all, right? And the reason for this is the next thing I play after this is the 7 on the A again, which I can just take that pinky off. And then going into the next measure, you'll see that we're going to just strip more away from this. But before we do that, measure 13 sounds something like this in time. 2 and 3 and 4 and. Going right into 14, just take that index finger off, play that C chord again, 0, 0, 0, 7. Then we're going to play 5 on the A string, just slide your ring finger down. And then we're going to play that A minor / E we played on measure 2, this one here, the 4, 5, 3. Strum through those 3 strings. Then we're going to do an E7, but a little bit different of an E7 than we've done to this point. It's the E7 you might already know and love. If you haven't played it before, though, go ahead and look at this A minor. Watch this middle finger. It slides down to the 2nd fret. And as I do that, I turn my hand so that my nails start pointing towards my shoulder. And then I put my ring finger underneath on the 2nd fret of the A string and my index up top on the 1st fret of the G string. Strum through all 4 strings. So we have 1, 2, 0, 2. So measure 14 in time should sound something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now as we go on to measure 15, well, let's go ahead and hear 13 and 14 as a little pair to give more context. 13 and 14 should sound like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and. Going into 15 now, we're going to play that A minor / C, our first chord of the song. Then play 3 on the A with the ring, 2 on the A with the middle, open on the A with nothing. 15 should sound like this in time. 2 and 3 and 4 and. Going into 16, we go back to that favorite G7 I mentioned, the bar across 5 on the C, E, and A with the index, and then the ring finger here on 7 of the E. Strum through all 4 strings. Then we're going to play 3 and 5, which is exactly the same as measure 12. So measure 16 sounds something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and. And so that you can hear the pair, here is 15 and 16 together. 2 and 3 and 4 and. Going from here, we go on to measure 17, which is going to be back to our C chord. Use our ring finger again, though, because we're going to play 8 on the A with the pinky. And then we're going to slide up to 10. We've done this chord before, but this time maybe the pinky can work. And then we're going to go up to the 8 and 12, slide the pinky up to 12, index here on 8. So that measure 17, sounds like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and. Going into measure 18 now, we're going to play this a little bit different of a C. Instead of just being 0, 0, 0, 7, we're going to add the 7 on the C string here for this nice little bass movement. You'll see what I mean in a moment. So middle finger should be there on 7 of the C. Then we're going to play D minor / F, same thing that we played in measure 3. And then we're going to play the A minor / E, same thing we played on measure 2. Then we're going to play that E7, the same one we did on measure 14. The 1, 2, 0, 2. So 4 chords with this. With lots of movement. Should sound like this in time. 2 and 3 and 4 and. Going now into measure 19, you'll notice it's just going to be A minor / C. We play that chord, 2, 0, 0, 0, 0, 2, 0, 0, 0. And then we're going to play an open A, and this actually repeats. But so that you can hear it, I'm going to actually play measures 17, 18, and 19 together so that you can get context of it. Because measure 19 is just the same thing as what we played in earlier sections of the song as well. So here's what 17, 18, 19 sound like. 2 and 3 and 4 and. So now, at this point, it restarts and it goes back to the beginning. So let's go ahead and hear what this whole thing sounds like as we're going through. So essentially, we're going from melody A, going from the very start, measure 1, playing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. And then we play 19 and then it resets. And then we go to 20 after that. So let's go ahead and hear what it sounds like, starting from the top. Should be something like this. 2 and 3 and 4. Oh, when you do a count in and a pickup bar, make sure that you leave time for the pickup bar, like I will right now. 1 and 2 and 3 and... Now at this point, it's the first repeat, and we go back through. Now as you go through this, you can add some layers of timing and dynamics, meaning you can speed up a little bit and add a little bit of dynamics of maybe playing a little louder and then maybe softer and slower. And all of these things can really add a lot. Just make sure as you're coming through it a second time that you get ready for that. That second ending. Instead of going on to measure 19, I go on to measure 20, which is very simple. It is just harmonics. Harmonic on the 12th fret on your C, E, and A strings. Big trick to harmonics is make sure that you're not in between the frets like you normally would fret something, but rather right on the fret wire itself. That really helps make sure that you're getting a good sound with that harmonic. We're going to strum through the C, E, and A, and that is the end. That's all there is to it to play that end. It sounds really nice. Here's what it sounds like just with that ending. 17, 18, and 20 should be something like this. What you'll notice is I kind of slowed down as I went through it, right? Just adding those little bits of dynamics, both in terms of the volume you're playing with as well as speeding up and slowing down, can really add some variation to this performance and make this song just sound so sweet. Well, there you have it. There is God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen. If you have any questions with it, be sure to leave it down in a comment below, and I'll look forward to seeing you guys next time on the next lesson here on Rock Class 101. Thanks so much.
All right, guys, so this week's ukulele lesson was a lot of fun. This is a beautiful Christmas tune, and I've got to say, it's a perfect challenge for the intermediate player in regards to all the chord work, and you get to play throughout the entire span of the neck, from the open strings all the way to the 12th fret. So guys, I wanted to give you a friendly reminder that if you wanted to get the tabs to print off and keep for your records, that was available at this link right here, or you can go to the site rockclass101.com, do a search for the song. Now also on that page was the really cool interactive on-screen tab viewer, so you can literally hit play, watch that tab scroll across in real time. You can highlight bars to loop sections, slow it down to any speed you want. Just a really, really cool tool in helping you learn this Christmas song much easier. All right guys, so again, I hope you enjoyed learning this tune, and we'll catch you in the next lesson. Take care.